He's also, I think, a board member of the Nashville Long-Term Sustainable Communities Initiative. And I also want to thank the Presbyterian Church here for giving us this space. It's very helpful. So the sequence are, I'll do an introduction here, and then Dr. Mann will give us a talk. And then we'll have some question and answers afterwards. And then after that, there'll be a gift presentation by Matt Pearsall. And then after that, there'll be a book signing outside in the parlor off the main foyer. So I kind of have a two-part introduction for Michael Mann. The first part is all the degrees and awards and things. So let me get that part out of the way first. Michael has a bachelor's degree in physics and applied math from UC Berkeley, where he studied superconductors and mathematical modeling behavior of superconductors. He was bored with that, so he went on to get a physics master's from Yale, and then a PhD in geology and geophysics from Yale. At Yale, he took over and started looking at observational data of climate and trying to understand climatic models. What he was really doing originally was looking at the natural variability within the climate and trying to figure out how much was natural and how much was man-made, because he kind of had a theory that most of it was natural. I think he got surprised by some of his own findings. He was a lead author on the third assessment report on climate in 2001. He won NOAA's Outstanding Publication in 2002. He's a co-winner of the Nobel Peace Prize in 2007. He's a fellow of the American Geophysical Union and has won the Hans Oerscher Medal for the Environmental Geophysical Union in 2012. He has 250 peer-reviewed papers, 2 books, and is a co-founder of the website realclimate.org. You paid me to say the last one, okay. So that's the technical part. I want to say a couple personal words. I've actually read this book. I want to say a little bit of a response to that. Executive privilege, I guess. In a time of news becoming entertainment, a time of personal belief masquerading as scientific fact, of corporations orchestrating well-funded marketing campaigns to affect public policy, the state of the American discourse has degraded into a cacophony of private interests seeking to delay urgently needed action on climate change. Perhaps not coincidentally, many of these interests are the same people who work to delay public action on tobacco smoking. These tactics to deny the existence of climate change, and failing that, to delay effective policies, have put the welfare of our human family at risk. Increasingly common extreme weather events, rising sea levels, and the expansion of areas affected by vector-borne diseases like malaria decrease the quality of life of a large number of our species. And we are likely to be at the beginning of what will be increasing change unless we act now. Dr. Michael Mann's life work has been cast a bright light on both the science needed to understand climate change, and now in his most recent book, on the politics of delay and deny. Dr. Mann has been courageous in his unflinching pursuit of truth in the face of personal attacks, threats of violence, and time-consuming investigations of his professional conduct. After reading Dr. Mann's book, I'm struck with an image. The image of the developing world, us, as pushers and addicts, worried about the steady stream of fossil fuels to satisfy our energy cravings. The pushers say, oh, don't listen to them, climate change is a hoax. And like desperate addicts, we listen, wanting to believe them. Unfortunately, we also take actions we once considered abhorrent, like taking off the tops of Appalachian mountains for coal, like destroying clean water supplies to frack for natural gas or process tar sands. We take solace in our denial and justify our actions by talking about national security and economic competitiveness. We even rationalize that a 2-degree rise in global temperature might make our agriculture more productive. But like any addict, we must admit our addiction before we decide what we can do about it. People like Dr. Mann, who remain resolute in speaking the truth, help us to accept our addiction. I want to thank Dr. Mann for his courageous commitment to the truth and for coming to Warren Wilson College. We welcome you and we stand with you. Welcome. Please
Thanks very much for those kind words. It is a pleasure to be here with you tonight. I've been impressed by Warner Wilson's commitment to issues of sustainability and stewardship, and it's a pleasure to be speaking with an audience of you here tonight about this issue of human-caused climate change. And what I am going to talk about today is sort of my experiences as really an accidental and reluctant public figure in the debate over human-caused climate change, and the lessons that I've learned, or I'd like to think I've learned along the way, and would like to try to share with you about what my experiences tell us about the issue of human-caused climate change, the threat that it represents, the nature of the campaign that has been underway for decades now to deny the reality of the problem, and what we could actually do about the problem if we can get past this bad faith debate we continue to be stuck in within our public discourse about whether or not the problem even exists. So the first point that I would make is that the actual scientific case for climate change, for human-caused climate change, is relatively straightforward. The greenhouse effect is not controversial science. We've known about it for nearly 2 centuries. Early scientists like Joseph Fourier in the early 19th century understood the fact that certain gases in our atmosphere, like carbon dioxide, have a warming influence on the lower atmosphere and the surface. We also know that we've been increasing the concentrations of these gases in our atmosphere through fossil fuel burning and other human activities. And the basic physics and chemistry that, again, we've understood for nearly 2 centuries tells us that should have led to a warming of the planet. And guess what? Thermometers tell us that it has. And in fact, I'm here in Asheville, North Carolina, which is one of the centers of scientific activity when it comes to putting together the meticulous work that has gone into putting together these records of surface temperature changes that stretch back more than a century. And so we know that the globe has warmed about 1 degree Celsius, about 1.5 degrees Fahrenheit over the past century. But this is not the primary evidence that we use to cite the reality of climate change. It's simply confirmation of what the science tells us should have happened. It's a validation of our basic scientific understanding. Now, if you, say, decide that you don't want to trust the work, the decades of work done by scientists here at NCDC in Asheville, or in the UK, or in New York, or the various groups that have put together these records of past surface temperature, if you're a critic who doesn't accept these data, then there are literally dozens of other lines of evidence, independent lines of evidence that tell us that the planet is warming and that the climate is changing in much the way we would expect as the planet continues to warm.